Hey guys, Scout97 again. This time a review of the 144 scale high-grade Universal Century Guncannon Revive version from the original Gundam series. So for colors, we get the typical striking Guncannon colors. We have a lot of red all over the body. We have some gray for the shoulders, the joints, the hands, the feet, also some on the backpack. Then for the head, we get white, but it seems to have a slight green tinge to it compared to the pure white of the VSBR here from the V2. You can definitely tell that it's not just normal white. And finally, we also get a very nice clear green visor. A very cool upgrade from the original Guncannon. And the cool thing is that we don't even need any stickers at all to make him completely color accurate. He just is color accurate straight out of the box. What we do get, however, are some very nice clear marking stickers. We got 108 for Kai, 109 for Hayato, and 203 for that badass from Gundam 0081. In case you haven't seen that cutscene, there's a link down below. Probably the coolest Guncannon ever, so I highly recommend using 203 on your Guncannon. And talking about badass, let's move on to articulation. The head goes up really far like that, down a bit, then rotates around about that far until it hits the cannons. Then the cannons go up all the way and down about that far. The shoulders go forwards that far. They're on a hinge inside of the body that connects to a ball joint that's on the arm itself, backwards that far. Now the thing about the arms is, well, about the elbow joint, and it's not going to pop out when you move it backwards and forwards, but when you try to turn them around, it does have the tendency to pop out all of a sudden. It goes up about that far, rotates around, and the elbow is on two glorious joints and go up all the way. Then the hands are on ball joints, will wiggle around, turn around, and do everything a ball joint does. Then the waist, it's on a joint at the top which will allow the body to move slightly forwards, and then there's another joint at the bottom which will allow it to move slightly more. But the real reason for that bottom joint is backwards all the way until it pops out inevitably. But it does give him a really nice range of movement. We'll also rotate around all the way on that ball joint, and will also allow for some limited side-to-side movement. Once again, it's essentially going to bend as far until it pops out. Put that back in there. The legs go out really far, but there's a funny collision going on here with the side. Like this just hits that armor and then pushes the leg kind of forward. So that's as far as they go if you angle the legs forward. Then go forwards about that far, and they have a cool swivel joint in there which will of course allow it to go up slightly more. Compare it to the leg in downward position, and you can see it's just that little bit of extra articulation that is really nice about that swivel joint. Front skirts are of course molded together but can be separated. And legs go backwards until they hit the back skirt. And they will rotate around and bend at the knee at two joints. There we go. Then the feet will go forward on two joints. We have one at the top, and then the flip-flop joint, which returns from the gyms, back about that far, side to side, and will rotate around about that far. So overall for the Guncannon, which is supposed to be an artillery mobile suit, this articulation is fantastic. On to accessories. The first and also only extra weapon we get is the beam rifle. Now for articulation, this thing of course has a movable scope, moves out on a hinge, also has that very nice yellow piece there. And the thing about it is that it sometimes likes to fall out pretty easily, but of course nothing a bit of glue will not fix. And the coolest thing about this beam rifle is that this time around the Guncannon can hold on to it with both of his hands. And I mean in the sense of dual wield this thing. Because unlike the original Guncannon, this time he has a functional left holding hand. And in it goes. And it's in there absolutely solidly. as opposed to the scope. Let me put it, and there it goes again. Like I said, that thing really could use some glue. And that looks absolutely fantastic. Once again, I cannot stretch enough that I love the feature that we finally get a left hand on a gun cannon. It's been long overdue. Talking about hands, of course, we couldn't go without the 2 extra open palm hands. And as you can probably tell, the ball joints are at a slight angle for the Guncannon's signature pose. Not the most heroic pose, but I guess it does make the Guncannon a lot harder to hit. The final thing I have to mention is the lack of the spray missile launcher. And unfortunately, you cannot just swap them around with those you get with the original Guncannon. It's not even as simple as swapping out the polycaps that are inside, because they are completely different. So, unless you're going to do some serious modification, you're not going to get the spray missile launcher with the new Guncannon. As always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? And for 1,200 yen, the answer is an absolute yes. I'm gonna be honest, looking at how phenomenal the original Guncannon was, this guy had a lot of expectations to fulfill for me personally, and it delivered. So let's talk about the bad things. Well, the shoulders, they kind of tend to pop out. You don't get to spray missile launchers, but that is everything bad I have to say about this thing. Everything else is fan-fucking-tastic. From the articulation to the proportions to the accessory that we do get, this thing completely managed to blow me away. And about the articulation, I always say that it's only as relevant to the Gunpla as it is to the actual mobile suit. And for a mid to long range artillery mobile suit, this thing has some incredible articulation. I mean, we're talking close combat mobile suit type articulation here. So, man, this thing, it's one hell of a gunpla. And as far as the Guncannon goes, especially in 1/44 scale, this is going to be the definitive Guncannon for a long, long time. Because honestly, I just don't see a lot of areas where it can be improved. We need no stickers whatsoever. The articulation is pretty much perfect on this thing, except for the shoulders. And as for accessories, well, it comes with everything it should come with. Well, everything we've seen in the anime. Of course, we don't get to spray missile launchers. And also, for some reason, the high grades seem to forget about those grenades he has in those leg compartments. But other than that, it is absolutely perfect. That brings us to the final question. Should you pick up the old one or the new one? And you might be thinking to yourself, of course the new one is going to be much better, but the old one still has a few redeeming qualities. For starters, it's only 800 yen, whereas the new one is 1000 yen. But is it worth saving 400 yen? In some cases, yes. For starters, the proportions are completely different. The old one seems to be a bit more anime accurate, whereas the new one is going for a more lean and mean redesign. Also, the head does seem to be a bit on the small side on the newer one. Then another advantage, of course, the old one has is that it does come with the spray missile launchers. So out of the box, the old one is going to come with more playability. However, the newer one has a kind of unexpected advantage over the old one, and that is the left holding hand, because the old one does not come with a left holding hand. It only has an open palm left hand, and it's on a peg. So you can't just give him another hand from another model kit, because, well, he only supports peg hands. Whereas this guy just has normal ball joint hands, and this hand on itself will be able to hold on to some weapons. So if you want to dual wield, you're gonna have to go for the new one. So with the rundown, the old one has some advantages. In the end, this guy is of course still better, but that's no reason to overlook the fantastic old Guncannon kit. For size comparisons, here is next to the gun tank and the Gundam, which has of course also just gotten a revived Gunpla. Makes you wonder, is the next one going to be the gun tank? Though a few ones I would really like to see a revive of is of course the Gyan, which could really use an upgrade. It's a close combat mobile suit and it has the articulation of an artillery mobile suit. So really, that kind of articulation on the Gyan would be awesome. Of course, another one that could really use an upgrade is the original Jim. The main reason being, if they designed a mold smart enough, they could easily give us a Gym Cannon, a Gym Sniper Custom, a Gym Light Armor, and so on. Then here is next to the Goop Fly Type and Char's Zaku 2. And finally, we have the standard size Gym Custom and the always bulky Zaku 3. And that's all for this review, and see you guys next time.